See, was a witness to the things that I know now. I'm 5 years out of school, super in debt. Got a house, not really a house, a basement for 2,000. Got a wife and got a baby. Can barely afford the groceries that's in my pantry. But somehow we got 40 billion to send to Ukraine and to Israel to fund the genocides and the wars. Everything is outdoors, ain't that so wild? We got homeless veterans on the street, addicted to fentanyl, meth, everything that you see. I'm trying to tell you this shit will make your eyes bleed when you start seeing the reality. This is the day that the Lord has made, and these are the times which God has decided we shall live. Thank you for tuning in. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone all across the world. This is 3v1A, and now let's dive into the subject. All right. Okay, we got some nameless law enforcement officers in riot gear lined up against peaceful Canadian protesting the national carbon tax. Well, you know, when you have a population that hates everything that the government is pushing, people are going to want to protest. And Trudeau, right, has already shown us by what happened with the truckers, what happens to peaceful protesters. You get pepper spray, riot gear, trampled over by horses, shot by rubber bullets. You know, just the Emergencies Act that was actually just, you know, meant for world wars and times of war, but we use it on our own citizens because here in Canada, we like to spread the love. Okay?
Horrified to hear that Ramadan is being promoted instead.
Wait.
Well, I must say I was slightly horrified to hear that Ramadan is being promoted instead. I do think that we are culturally a Christian country. I call myself a cultural Christian. I'm not a believer, but there's a distinction between...
Wait, Richard Dawkins, the staunch atheist that debates Christians and poops on Christianity for a living? That Richard Dawkins?
being a believing Christian and being a cultural Christian. And so, you know, I love hymns and Christmas carols, and
He loves hymns and Christmas carols.
I sort of feel at home in the Christian ethos. I feel that we are a Christian country in that sense.
And this is the problem, Mr. Richard Dawkins, because you take parts of Christianity that you like, right? And then you want to reject the parts that you don't like, right? At the end of the day, we do live in a Christian nation, well, the West, right? It was founded, right, on the foundation of Christianity, right? That all men are created equal, etc., etc. This is from a Christian worldview, period, right? And you then grow up in it, right? You're standing on top of these giants' shoulders that built your society. That's the foundation that you're living on. And then you reject it and try to demolish it, and you want a secular nation where people don't believe in Sky Daddy, and things that are improbable. You don't want people to believe it. Then your nation becomes more and more secular. And then what do you guys do as a collective? Well, let's bring in the third world. Let's bring in all these Muslims from these Muslim nations that aren't going to assimilate into a Christian nation, right? Poland's smart. Poland's like, no, we don't want nobody else. We want a Christian nation, right? Because when you bring the Muslims in, and Muhammad has 4 wives, and he gives every one of those wives 4 babies, and the secular West is not having any babies, guess what's going to happen to your England? Guess what's going to happen to your Canada, your America, your Australia, your New Zealand, your European countries? They're going to be zip, zop. They're going to be serving shawarmas, and you're going to have the mosque, and you're going to be prostrating your booty in the air at high noon. But this is what happens when you try to destroy the foundation of your society and you don't understand what it was holding up. And now you have secularism, and now we see what's happening in Europe with the Muslim takeover.
It's true that statistically the number of people who actually believe in Christianity is going down, and I'm happy with that, but I would not be happy.
He's happy with it. He's happy that the number is going down. And what's taking its place? Who's having the babies? The Muslims. What is he complaining about? That they're celebrating Eid and Ramadan over Easter. And this is just a microcosm of what's happening on a bigger picture, right? If you see, there's been so many attacks and terror attacks and stabbings and murders of all these Middle Easterns and African Muslims that come into Europe, that come into the West, and then grape women, unalive people, etc., etc., and then they get let off. But this is all part of the Great Reset. And Richard Dawkins doesn't even understand what he's a part of and how he's helping, accelerate it. If he was smart, if he was smart, he would be like, hey, you know what? Let's actually promote Christian values, promote churches, promote Christian relationships and Christian ethics and values. So, we should be having a lot of kids as Christians. We should be selective of who we bring into our country, and are they going to assimilate, and do they have the same values and beliefs as us? But instead, he wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants a secular nation and a less Christian nation. But then when the Muslims come in, and then they're going to bring in your birth rate, and then he's upset with it. Do you see the hypocrisy?
If, for example, we lost all our cathedrals and our beautiful parish churches, so I count myself a cultural Christian. I think it wouldn't matter if we substituted any alternative religion. That would be truly dreadful.
Well, which brings me to my...
That would be truly dreadful if we substituted Christianity for any other religion. It'd be truly dreadful, mate. Why would it be truly dreadful? Is it because Christianity teaches something that you like all men are created equal? Like love your neighbor, love your enemy? Is it these values that you love and cherish so much, Richard Dawkins, that you hold on to fastly, even though you think Christianity is evil and wicked, and look at the Old Testament and look at this and look at that? But when it really comes down to it and the rubber meets the pavement, you want to be a Christian, at least a cultural Christian, because you want to take and steal from Jesus, but deny his divinity, deny everything else about him. You just want to take all the good stuff from him and leave out the bad. But guess what? It's not how Christianity works. Because as soon as you take out the root, the flower dies. And now we're seeing what the flower dying looks like in the EU, for example.
Supplementary point, which is that, as we know, church attendance is plummeting, but the erection of mosques across Europe, I think 6,000 are under construction, and there are many more.
Allahu Akbar! Literally.
Are being planned. So do you regard that as a problem? Do you think that matters?
Yes, I do, really.
I like that he has the balls at least to say this, because he's going to be called a racist and an Islamophobe. And how could you do this to us, Richard? We thought you were liberal. But now he's like, damn, I see what's happening in my own backyard, right? Because it's easy talking about things in theory, like communism. Like, communism is so good in theory. No one has ever done communism correctly. I'll do communism correctly. I know how to do communism the right way. But what happens when you actually try communism? What are the fruits of it? What does it actually turn into? Well, it turns into a small group of people at the top own everything, and everybody else is poop poor. Okay, that's what happens when it actually meets the road. Now, what's happening to him? When it actually meets the road, man, I don't want all these mosques erected everywhere. I don't want to be forced to be a Muslim, because eventually, when the Muslims outnumber you, what do you think's going to happen? Right? Islam has stages of jihad, right? There's the one when you're outnumbered, then you preach peace, 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 just like Muhammad, peace, peace, peace. Then when you have the same amount of numbers, when you have your numbers are getting close, then you do small terror attacks here and there, but you call it defensive. Then when you outnumber them, now it's time to knock on the doors, become Muslim, say your Jihada? What is it? Oh man, I'm getting a brain fart. So it's the thing that you say, Sahada, Sajada. Man, these Muslim Arabic words. Shahada. You have to say your Shahada and blah, 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 blah. And if you're a Christian and a Jew, then you're quote unquote lucky, because now you're a dhimmi, and now that just means you're a second-class citizen, and you got to pay the Muslims a protection fee. Like the mob comes to your store and says, we're going to bust your windows. I mean, someone's going to bust your windows if you don't pay us to protect you from those people going to bust your windows. Yeah? The Muslims say the same thing. You don't have to fight. You don't have to fight. We will fight for you, okay? I'll even bring in the clip right now. Okay, so let's continue.
I don't. I might choose my words carefully. I mean, I
Choose your words carefully, you white man. Because you can't talk about brown people any willy-nilly. It's not time for that anymore, white man. Because I don't care. I understand the point that he's saying. He's saying what I'm saying, but I'm just saying it with more confidence and more boldness. Because at least I'm a BIPOC, right? BIPOCs are allowed to say this stuff to other BIPOCs. If I was white, I'd probably be stuttering just like him. He's like, because he's going to be called a racist. And then this is what the left likes to do, right? And even the right, everybody, just people like to say you're racist for the things you say, even if it's completely true. If you say the American border is open and it's being flooded in by Chinese and East Africans and Arabs and these terrorist groups, well, then you're actually racist because you want to close the border, you racist. And this is just a way to get people to shut up, and Richard Dawkins is falling into the trap.
if I had to choose between Christianity and Islam, I choose Christianity every single
Yo!
time. I mean, it seems to me to be a fundamentally decent religion.
Fundamentally decent.
In a way.
I like that you said that, even though other times you said how bad Christianity was and how bad it is for the world, but I'm gonna.
I think Islam is not.
I think you're going to have to explain why you say that.
Yo, Shorty is putting his feet to the fire. She's like, we want to get you canceled today. But it's funny because, not funny, it's kind of sad that these white people, these native British people, they're like, we're losing our land, we're losing our things, and I feel for them in a sense, because if I was them, and my daughters are getting raped, and my sons are getting murdered, and my houses are being taken for the cause of, inclusivity and, cultural enrichment, I would be mad, and I'd be probably doing some things too. And I understand her, but Richard Dawkins is going to get cancelled after this.
Professor Dawkins, why is Islam fundamentally not decent like Christianity?
Yes, I mean the way women are treated. I mean, Christianity is not great about that. It's had its problems with female vicars and female bishops and things. But
wait, so because Christianity says a woman shall not usurp authority over a man, right? Meaning women are not going to be the heads of these churches, right? Well, at least of any biblical church. You have churches now that are bringing in women to be the pastors and to be all that stuff, but those churches also bring in the mafia, the alphabet mafia, to come shake it for their Sunday school. So I don't really call those churches Christian churches. There is about Christian as Muhammad is Christian, right? But if you think that this is oppressing women, that women can't be, bishops and pastors and priests, that this is like the biggest thing that you have against, like, Christians got a bad deal with women because they don't make women the head of a man and the head of the organization. Really? Okay, then what's your problem with Islam? And the funny thing is, at the end of the day, all this stuff that he's saying, if you asked him, okay, so what basis are you judging Christianity or Islam or anything on, right? What are you judging it on? By what standard do you judge things by? And he's gonna have to say, well, I just don't like it. Okay, so why do we care what you don't like, right? This is called a subjective opinion. Subjective opinion just means the subject yourself, it's your opinion, right? An objective opinion means it is true outside of yourself. But it can only be true outside of yourself if there's a standard to uphold it, like God, right? God says this is wrong. It's not me just saying this is wrong. God says it's wrong, right? Because they can say, well, I just don't like it. That's about as most as he can do. But I always just like to think, like, by what standard are you judging anything by? Your own subjective standard? Okay.
But the hostility to women, which is promoted, I think, by the holy books of Islam. I'm not talking about individual Muslims, who, of course, are quite different. But
they're quite different. The holy books of Islam promote wife beating and doing a bunch of bad things to your wives. That is true. Correct. And majority of Muslims are better than the Quran and better than Muhammad.
but the doctrines of Islam, the Hadith and the Quran, is fundamentally hostile to women, hostile to gays, and I find that I like to live in.
Choose your words carefully. I think I would like to be living in a Christian country.
A culturally Christian country, although I do not believe a single word of the Christian faith.
Allahu Alam. Like, this is just so funny. He's like, it's like this. It's like, I just want the roof of my house, okay? But I don't want any of the walls. I just want my car, but no wheels. I just want my boat, but no router. It's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? There was a thing called the Crusades that happened when the Muslims were trying to take over Europe, right? This happened before in history. History repeats itself, right? After Muhammad died, they made the first caliphate and the second caliphate and the third and etc. and etc. And they went from, right, the Middle East, and they spread out very far and wide. And what stopped them? Christianity. In the sense, what do you mean by Christianity? I mean by the Crusades, right? A bunch of Christians said, hey, we better start banding together and fighting off these people that want to destroy us and our culture and enslave us and etc. and etc. What Richard Dawkins is scared of, right? But they actually believed in Christianity, right? They were willing to die for Christianity. They were willing to die for what they believed in and all these things. But now, do you think we're going to have a Crusades today? Right, what did they say? How the church numbers are down, the church buildings are being destroyed. Why? Well, maybe it's because of the cultural revolution that we had, where they said, oh, God is dead now. Now it's time to party. Let's all be atheists, blah, blah, blah. Let's all have, smacks and just no babies and abortions. And then you have no kids, and then you have no foundation. And then what happens to that kind of culture? It's so easily destroyed.
If something is not done,
well, I must say I was slightly horrified.
Stuff. Oh, graphic content. We know about that.
German ambushed and a 17-year-old German ambushed and stabbed to death by a Muslim immigrant. The killer is then acquitted of murder charges after telling the court, "Oh, I fucked up. It was sorry, guys. I did a boo-boo." Now the European boy is killed and he is out of the picture. Mother and brother shocked after verdict. Yeah, you think they're closing in on us?
Yes, they are. This is an example. We were just talking about Richard Dawkins, right? You guys are being hunted. And not only are you being hunted, your justice systems all around the world somehow, supposedly, are all connected, right? In America, what are they doing, right? You can break into a store and steal anything under $900 and no one's checking. If you're liking the video, please hit the like button, hit the share, hit the subscribe. It really helps the YouTube algorithm and the algorithms on all the platforms to help push this to more and more viewers. So if you enjoy the video, please take a moment, share, like, and subscribe, and post for more content. It's under $900, and then you can just walk out the store, right? In New York, a guy comes into the bus, punches the bus driver, he goes to jail. Bus driver is picking that same guy up on his way home, right? Because the judge that's funded by George Soros and all of the JM that's funded by all these groups, these globalist groups that want the Great Reset, that want the collapse, that want the, what's it called? It's called, I forgot what it's called, but it's like getting your number of your people to be like finished and then to bring a new population in. There's like a word for it. I forgot what it is, but it's like they're trying to switch, Western values and all this stuff, and they're trying to just put Islam. And they're trying to put in all the 2-something billion Muslims that are in the Middle East. And it's always military-aged males. It's not a bunch of women and children coming in. It's a bunch of military-aged fighting males. I wonder what that may mean.
On European people, like a pack of hyenas. And if, let's say, this kid managed to fight off one of them or whatever, he's by himself, they act like the Tusk Raiders in Star Wars. They might be easily scared off at first, but then they'll come back and they'll be in greater numbers. If it's bad now, when they are 1/3, of the populations in our countries. Think it's gonna get better when they're half or 3/4? Oh, they'll be.
No, then they're going to be emboldened to the point that they're just going to be killing you on the street for fun, running you over, graping all of you guys.
Nice to us when they're 3/4 of the population, you see. So what does this mean? It means their attacks will just get more and more vicious on our people as the time goes by. They will get more and more brazen, but they come emboldened by our system, as the establishment chooses those over us, right? They stab us in the back. They arm them, they disarm you. They do crimes, they let them out of jail, they put you in jail for not even doing crimes. These people think they're winning, they're not. Once we've removed the...
I love it. 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 Because in Canada, you get fined and you get your bank account frozen if you donate to some truckers fighting to stop mandates and lockdowns in your country. You go to jail for these things. We have bills now in Canada that are being passed that if the federal government and somebody finds your content, right, disagreeable or offensive, you can go to prison for life. But the third world, right? These Muslim invaders, these illegal aliens that are coming in from all around the world, when they do crimes and they do murders and they do grapings, they get let out because they don't know better, right? But it's not because they don't know better. It's because these people that are actually supposed to, and it's funny because they're very smart, right? Satan is very smart on how he moves, because instead of having to change the laws, because that'd be too crazy, right? Imagine they said a law like all Muslims that kill a European, it's okay, right? That would be too outward, like brazen, right? In your face. You would understand we got to come up in arms, we got to grab our pitchforks and our fire, and we got to go fight this. But instead, what do? They just pay off the judges that apply the law to those individual cases. And when they get those nice liberal, right, judges, and they pay them off and they tell them to rule this way and to be more friendly, to be more kind, because these people don't know better, blah, 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 whatever reasons these people don't or do know, right? They're effectively changing the law because how it's being implemented is being changed. So it's being changed by default, but then people don't see this. Well, some people see this, and hopefully more people see this, and you share and like content like this because this is coming to your neighborhood. And the craziest part is these people that are pushing these agendas are thinking they're isolated from their own decisions. But when they walk down in San Francisco, they get stabbed and shot just the same way. So it's just crazy.
People from those positions of political power and everyone else down the line, influential groups and everything else, the rest is, I'm not going to say it's easy, but the rest is kind of a formality at that point. It's about the decision up here, coming to the realization that you're not going to tolerate yourself out of this situation. You can't be nice enough so that this will go away.
Very good point. And especially for Canada. Canada has to get this through our nice, soft, wonderful heads that we can't be good with these people that are actively trying to destroy us and actively trying to destroy our country, actively trying to destroy our beliefs and our foundations and our culture, right, in our society. These people, right, who are these people, right? It's Justin Trudeau, right? It's the Liberal Party, it's the NDP, it's the Conservatives. All these parties, right, at the end of the day, they're gonna kill you. Justin Trudeau is just like, he's gonna kill you by shooting you in the head. He's gonna unalive you. I can't be saying these words, I'm gonna get demonetized. He's gonna put that gun and just boom, really quickly, right? Carbon tax, right? This tax, that tax, this tax, that tax, print money, print money, print money. That just kills Canadians super fast. Another party is gonna come in and say, well, let's just kill Canadians slowly. And it's still better to die slowly, I guess, than to die fast in a sense, depending on who you are. But we cannot be nice and have this problem to be solved. I don't even have the answer on exactly what we should do, but we should have some kind of civil disobedience where like we all just don't go to work or something, but it's hard to make everybody do the same thing at once. But I really like the trucker convoy thing, right? Because that was organic, it worked out, and it accomplished its goal. Thanks be to God. Glory be to God. We cannot be nice to these people that actively want to kill us at the end of the day. Unalive us.
It's not how this works. It's not how they operate. The more you back down, the more weakness you show, the more emboldened they get. They think it's funny. They piss on our children.
Exactly. And they're going to say it's racist. It's racist. But in China, right, who's the main population in China? It's Chinese, right? A lot of these countries, like the real smart ones, you know, like Russia, it's like it's Russians. Like you want to keep like your national, you know, identity, right? Because if you don't have a national identity, then it gives leeway for these competing ideologies like Islam, right? Mainly, that's what Islam is being used, you know, nicely by the globalists, by the elites to destroy society. And it's a good ideology to use it because look at their Quran. Like, it already has a blueprint for if you don't believe in Muhammad, doesn't mean, like, most Muslims don't even know these verses. Most Muslims read the Quran in Arabic and they don't know what they're saying. It's like they're just la 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 la. They're just saying words that they don't actually understand the meaning of. And even if they do understand the meaning of, then that's even scarier because if you know what your religion teaches, either you're going to be disgusted by parts of it, you're just not going to try to pay attention, but the Quran teaches that everyone needs to believe in Muhammad and Allah, and if they don't, they need to die. Simple fact.
These people. And they videotape it and they put it on social media because they think it's funny. Have you had enough yet? I know you've had enough if you're watching this. But the people out there rhetorically asking them, have they had enough yet? Are they at what point? This is why it's vital for them to control the flows of information because they don't want you to see any of this stuff. All right, it's clear we have to deport these people. We have to take back control of our countries. We need to enforce law and order again and justice, like rights for our people.
I'm a white supremacist now. What he just said I agree with, but if you agree with those kind of sentiments, you're a nationalist and you're a white supremacist, so I'm the first black white supremacist.
Our population. That's what needs to happen. We need to operate as a racial group. That's just what it is. We Europeans have to bound together. We have to...
Nationalism. Second Crusades. We got to band together and we got to fight. Because if we don't band together, we're going to be divided and we're going to be conquered. Because these Muslims, right, they know we got to stick together. Even though they don't like each other, right? Sunnis and Shiites, they kill each other even harder than they kill other people. But they understand we got to work together to take over Europe, right? We need to have enough babies to flood them. And they put all their babies on child support too. So another way they're going to kill you is just by your taxes. You're going to be paying for little Abduls and Yassirs and Alis and Sheikhs.
Help each other out. Have to look out for each other. And this is a survival strategy at this point. Otherwise, they'll be consumed. They'll be your children, your grandchildren, or you, or your parents, or your...
But I say actually to even improve on this point, it's not only a racial thing. Yes, it is racial in a sense because most of these Muslims coming in are from, you know, Pakistan and like African countries and all these places. But I think the deeper thing, the more important thing is what is your ideology, all right? Because what he's talking about, and I assume what he's talking about, is his ideology is most like I would guess it's Christianity, right? It's a Christian basis, right? Because it's a Christian West, that's Europe. It's not Hindu, right? It's not Islam. It's mainly Christianity. So I think all Christians should band together and fight this together. Because if you just make it a racial thing, my fear is that, or my worry, whatever it may be, is that it's going to get painted as like, you see, look, they're Nazis. Look, they think they're the best race and they want to use their race. You see how they paint the headlines. And I think it would be a lot stronger to say, no, we don't care if you're black, brown, white, da-da-da. We want to know, what's your ideology? What is your thought process? Do you believe all men are created equal? Do you believe in women's rights, right? That came from Christianity. Do you believe in all these things, that you can't marry minors and et cetera and et cetera? I think this, at the core, is what is most important. Because if these Muslims, Islamicists, jihadis, majority of them, were to come into your country and all get jobs and work hard and provide for themselves and their family and improve your economy and have an ideology that promotes peace, love, and unity and assimilation, you wouldn't be upset. No one would be upset. But they're upset because their ideology teaches them to grape, fight, kill, murder, pillage, take over, subjugate, etc., etc., etc. That's why you really dislike them, not just because of the color of their skin. If this was a bunch of white Muslims, right, just it doesn't make sense, but just say there were a bunch of Irish, those 2 billion Irish Muslims, and they were coming in and doing the exact same thing, you would have a problem with it. Because it's not necessarily their skin color, it's their ideology that they're bringing in to your country that is then destroying your country, and you want to get rid of those people that are destroying your society. Just food for thought.
Your brother, your cousins, pick it, your aunt, your uncle, whatever, will be just another victim of these special interest groups, these corporations, the politicians, the NGOs, the leftists, the Jewish activists, and all these other groups that are lobbying for our...
You're not allowed to say Jewish, man. Come on. Right? If it's black, it's a gang. If they're white, it's a mob. If they're Jewish, it's a conspiracy. I'm joking. If they're Jewish, it's an accident.
Our enemies, those who hate us, those who have declared us as their enemies, making them our enemies, whether you want it or not, whether you realize this or not, they're at war with you. They're firing everything they have against you. They're at like 110% capacity on trying to kill you in various ways. Jabs, by proxy, by migrants, just replacing you, ending your civilization.
Replacement migration, the great replacement theory. That's what it is.
Saying you can't have this job, you can't make any money because you're white, you can't apply for these jobs, firing you for those reasons. This is war. This is a warfare against us. And if it's not outright warfare, it's lawfare. They go after you legally for saying and thinking the wrong things. Putting up stickers, trying to bring attention to what they're doing is now a crime.
Yeah, this was actually a very, very sad story. This guy's a father of like 2 or 3 daughters. He has a wife. He's a tradesman. He's in Europe, probably, I think, England. And he is just putting up stickers that say, like, you're being replaced, right? This and that. Just putting up, this is free speech, right? Yes, free speech in England. Free speech, you know what I mean, right? The freedom to say what you want but get thrown in prison and go to jail and etc. Eventually they're just going to start executing people that they just don't like what they say. But this guy was putting up stickers just randomly everywhere, just saying his views, saying his thoughts. Like what I'm saying right now, if we made stickers of what I said and put them up, that's what he was doing. They call him a Nazi, they call him a far-right extremist, blah, 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 and he got jailed. For what? What was his crime? Free speech, putting up stickers. And not stickers that are saying, hey, go kill this person lives at this address, go kill them. No, just what his views are, what he thinks is happening around him. The grapes, the murders of all these white Europeans at the hands of these Muslims. He's just saying this, he's bringing this up. And that is a problem. You're not allowed to spread these kind of dangerous views and dangerous ideologies. You all need to watch CP24 and Fox and CNN to get your information. Don't listen to these crazy people that make sense. Listen to us. We're the only reliable, truthful media that lie to you.
Why do you think that is? You saying the wrong thing, you soon thinking the wrong thing. What our enemies fear the most is us banding together as a group. That's what they fear the most. Because at that point, when and if we do, I'm convinced we will, it's not overnight over. But at that point, anything is possible. When it means resources, professional people, good people, high IQ people, dedicated people, knowledgeable people, people who can drive and push in the same direction. Just imagine for a moment, if you will, 2 million white people putting their mind to something and pushing in one direction for whatever it is. Sure, they can nuke us, they can kill us, they can turn some enemy army again. Yes, all those things are highly probable and possible, like they did in the Baltic countries or whatever, like the NATO uprisings and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, that kind of don't look that great. You know what I mean? Kind of not, it's not that great. We can make ourselves unstoppable if we want to, if we decide to. We just finally put our foot down and say we've had enough and things are changing now.
I agree with 99.9% of that. It's just the whole But that's the thing I understand, because I feel like the stuff that's happening in Africa, how Africa is getting raped, is a general rule, and everywhere around Africa is getting raped of resources, of money, of economic power, of everything getting raped by Chinese interests, by Western interests. The whole world is rich because Africa is poor at the end of the day. Africa has all the cobalt, all the minerals, all the gold, all the natural resources that you want in the world is found in Africa. And if Africa would ever to become, developed and democratic and all this, etc., you'd have to pay a lot of money. But right now, Africa is, you can grape it for pennies on the dollar and you can make money. And I would say, hey, we as Africans need to band together and stop this. We as blacks have to band together and stop this. So I understand what he's saying in that sense, but I think is a deeper point. If I was in that situation where I was starting this in Africa, I would say everybody who wants the freedom of Africa, everybody who sees this grape happening in Africa, we want your support and we want you to band together with us. I think that's just one more step ahead of what he's saying, but I still agree with 99% of it. Okay, so good one.
I do not identify as a person of color. I am black and only black. I usually don't make these type of videos, but I'm just gonna do this today, man. Racism has never ended, man. Never. If anybody has ever told you that, all that stuff was in the past and people are not...
I agree with him too. Racism has never ended. Racism will never end because people are evil. People got these ideologies. People are evil, and people will always be racist. People will always be sexist. People will always be misogynist. People will always... So, if you're still here, that means you enjoyed the video, I'm assuming, or you hated it. Either way, like, share, subscribe, and let's get this out to more people. God bless you, and have a good day. See, was a witness to the things that I know now. I'm 5 years out of school, super in debt. Got a house, not really a house, a basement for $2,000. Got a wife and got a baby. Can barely afford the groceries that's in my pantry. But somehow we got 40 billion to send to Ukraine and to Israel to fund the genocides in the world. Everything is outdoors, ain't that so wild? We got homeless veterans on the street, addicted to fentanyl, meth, everything that you see. I'm trying to tell you this shit will make your eyes bleed when you start seeing the reality.